Is it that time already? Oh. God, I slept in on BretFlix. Oh my gosh. Oh, I didn't realize it was so late. Oh, and look, I'm already recording. Oh, man. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to BretFlix out of nowhere. Oh man. I'll see what I can do. I gotta wake myself up real quick. Okay, well, I guess I'll just start BretFlixing real quick. Welcome to another episode. Sorry I slept in. It's my day off of work and everything, and I partied a little too hard last night. I met up with some buddies online, and I was playing Halo till at least like 3 in the morning. So sorry if I drag on you a little bit, but anyway, I guess I have some exciting picks. I was really excited actually setting up for this episode well, not setting up for the episode, but sleeping before I recorded the episode, whatever. Anyway, before I woke up, I was checking Netflix, right? Like, what movie should I talk about this time? And they just added one that I didn't know they were about to put on, so that kind of changed up my original picks. I was going to talk about a different movie, but then I was like, nope, this one has to be talked about right away. So this episode, I have a classic from Spike Lee. I have a very interesting pick by one of my favorite filmmakers, Miranda July. And then I have an underrated pick from the Coen Brothers. So, let's see how well I do. Yes, so Spike Lee, they just added a Spike Lee film onto Netflix instant streaming. It's one of my favorite films of his. I've seen it several times. It's a movie that floors me every time. It's a film called He Got Game, starring Denzel Washington. It's a movie he made back in the 90s. I forget if it's like 95 or 97 or something like that. But it's a movie he did back in the 90s, and it's it's a movie that really well epitomizes Spike Lee's style as a filmmaker, as a writer. The kind of things that he tries to pull out of his actors. I mean, this is very much a Spike Lee movie from beginning to end. The movie is very long. It's over 2 hours. Probably didn't need to be over 2 hours. Easily could have been a good hour 45 minutes, but that's kind of the way Spike Lee likes to do things. He likes his movies to be very overblown. He likes to stuff them full of every idea. He loves to experiment with story and stuff, and so there's a lot of characters in his films that are seemingly kind of not relevant to the plot, yet they get a lot of screen time. I especially love Samuel L. Jackson's character in Jungle Fever. I have no idea why he's in the movie. Has nothing to do with the themes of the film at all. At least as far as my understanding of the film goes. Maybe there's someone out there that has a really good interpretation of it. But sorry, there's someone out my window just kind of standing there right now, freaking me out. And I'm in my underwear, so if they look in here, see me talking to a camera, they're gonna be very disturbed. Oh well, it's their problem, not mine. Where was I? Yeah, I was talking about Jungle Fever. Yeah, so Samuel L. Jackson in Jungle Fever, he plays like this drug addict and stuff, and it has nothing to do with the main themes or the plot of the film or the story of the film. He gets a lot of screen time, and there's a lot of, he gets his own arc in everything. And there's stuff like that in this film too. Like there's a side plot where Denzel Washington kind of has this interest, I wouldn't say a love affair, but like an interest affair with a neighbor played by Milla Jovovich. She's a prostitute, and for some reason he's drawn to her and she's drawn to him. Nothing to do with the rest of the movie, but it gets a lot of attention. Basic story of the film is Denzel Washington is put in jail for the accidental murder of his wife, and when this happened, he had kids, and the kids were really young. Well, Denzel Washington was kind of a basketball genie. He was just exceptionally good at the sport, and he trained his son. I forget the actor's name who plays the son, but his son's name is Jesus in the movie. He teaches his son how to play, and then while Denzel Washington is in jail, his son grows up and becomes like the greatest, or at least the most sought after player in like the high school rings. And there's a lot of colleges that are going after him to draw him, and to try to give him like full ride scholarships to be a part of their basketball program. And I guess the warden, or whatever you'd call it, of Denzel Washington's jail is a major fan of college basketball and wants Washington's son to play for his favorite college team. So he says, I'll give you like kind of like a leave from jail or whatever, to try to convince your kid to go to the school I want him to go to, and if you can do that, I'll give you a reduced sentence. So he gets out of jail. He's so he's trying to reconnect with his son, reconnect with his daughter, kind of seek forgiveness for the things that he'd done, and just kind of he understands he doesn't exactly deserve a relationship with his kids, but he really wants one, of course. It's a really emotional movie. And of course, as with every movie Denzel Washington is in, he gives a very powerhouse performance. He's a very dominant actor. He demands your attention on screen. And even when he's doing he's done a lot of like action movies. Like he worked a lot with Tony Scott and did a lot of action movies for him, and he was really perfect for those roles. But even for like these more intimate style dramas, he still carries. He still carries that. It goes to show that the same kind of talent and charisma it takes to make a emotional drama, it also kind of takes to make kind of a mind-numbing action movie. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, He Got Game. It's a really great film, and it's story-wise, Spike Lee cuts loose a lot. Also, as a filmmaker, he cuts loose a lot, and he's a very energetic New York-style filmmaker, and this is him at the top of his game. Spike Lee's got game when he's making this, so. I highly recommend He Got Game. It's one of my favorite Spike Lee films. Please watch that one. So up next, for the second one we're gonna talk about this episode, let's go back to 1990, I believe 6, when the Coen Brothers made Fargo. Fargo was a big deal. It's nominated for every Oscar. It's considered an American classic. A lot of people consider it one of the best films of all time. Now, when you make a movie like that, even when it was released, it was considered that. It wasn't just like over the past couple decades it's been considered that. From its very release, it was considered a film of that stature. Now, when you make a movie like that, it's like, what are you gonna follow it with? And the Coen Brothers followed Fargo with The Big Lebowski, and people had a lot of mixed feelings about that at the time. Now, let's fast forward to 2007, when the Coen Brothers made No Country for Old Men. Also kind of had a very similar reaction. No Country for Old Men won a bunch of Oscars. A lot of people consider it the best film of all time, whatever. And then it's like, what are you going to follow No Country for Old Men with? And they followed it with a film I'm going to talk about, Burn After Reading. Now, I feel like because of the placing in their filmography that they made Burn After Reading, maybe that's kind of the reason why it's sort of been forgotten about. I guess it's not an often talked about Coen Brothers movie. It's not like I'm not trying to say it's a forgotten masterpiece. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I think it's a flawed movie, but I also at the same time think it's a really good movie too. I think it's an excellent film, and I wish people would pay a little bit more attention to it. I guess it's just not what people were expecting. And my main criticism of Burn After Reading is one thing I love about the Coen Brothers is every single movie is very original. You can never guess what they're going to do next. Every single movie totally stands on its own. My only issue with Burn After Reading is, to me, it feels like they're kind of trying to make another kind of Fargo movie, where you get a lot of really great characters doing a lot of really messed up things, and there's this really twisted, complicated plot, and then the climax is kind of punctuated with some extreme violence, and then at the very end when they try to sum it all up, like when like in Fargo, when Frances McDormand says like, what was it all for? Just to get some money, you know? So it's kind of like all for nothing. And it's the same, and they have the same sort of conclusion here in Burn After Reading. After all the crazy violent stuff happens, J.K. Simmons is just like, so what do we learn from this? I guess we just learned not to do it again, you know, and then boom, it's over. So for me, they're kind of rehashing Fargo. You know, they weren't rehashing, you know, the same characters or the same plot, but they were kind of rehashing the same style of movie, I guess. That's my only thing that I would outright criticize. There's other things that are maybe a little nitpicky, but not really worth mentioning. I really enjoy this movie. It has great memorable performances from everybody, a lot of surprises in the plot, things that come out of nowhere. You know, Brad Pitt is especially funny in this film. You know, and I love John Malkovich and Tilda Swinton and George Clooney. Just everyone in this movie is just great. And Frances McDormand's hilarious, and Richard Jenkins is amazing in this. It's not one you can really talk a whole lot about without spoiling things. All I can say is it's a very R-rated movie, and it's very funny. It's violent. It's vulgar. It's sentimental. I mean, there's just a lot going on, and there's always surprises, and you can never guess the next punch. So for a piece of wild entertainment, I highly recommend the Coen Brothers' Burn After Reading. And now the last movie I'm going to talk about. I'm trying to keep these videos short, but sometimes I just have a little too much to say. I'm afraid that's going to be the case on this one. It's a very, very special movie from a very special filmmaker. It's unlike any movie I have ever seen. It is wholly original from start to finish. It's a movie called Me and You and Everyone We Know, directed by Miranda July, written, directed, and starring Miranda July. It is, how do you describe this film? It defies description. But it's very whimsical, quirky. I would even use the word magical to describe it. I mean, there's no magic in the film, but it just kind of puts you in that giddy mood, I guess. Again, very difficult to describe. So there's a lot going on in the film. There's a lot of characters, and basically what the film is to me, like what it speaks to me is it's a film about people wanting to have connections, like specifically like romantic connections, and how every person's way of connecting is very unique to them. So when they find another person, you know, so it's hard to find another person that's going to connect on their level in their way or something, you know. And I mean, I don't know if that's really what the movie is trying to be about, but that's what the movie speaks to me when I watch it. Like there's this kind of back and forth that goes on throughout the film between Miranda July and the other co-star. I forget the guy's name, but and he's so brilliant in the film too. They you know, throughout the whole film they're like trying to like connect with each other, but they're kind of nervous or shy or something, or they do something that is a big mistake that puts the other one off or something. Well, finally towards the end, when they're finally going to kind of like meet up, he's rushing to get the house in order, you know, because he doesn't want to be all embarrassed when she finally shows up, and he like grabs this painting that for some reason he doesn't want her to see, and he like rushes outside to try to find a way to dispose of it, and he's like trying to ram it in these bushes to try to hide it, and that's the moment when she shows up, and she doesn't question really what's going on. She just kind of accepts what's going on because she thinks it's kind of funny. And she's like, hey, well, maybe it'll fit over here in this bush. And she like grabs the painting and tries to stuff in another bush for him. She's like, no, that's not, oh, maybe over here. And she does it over here. And then finally they both like find this tree that it kind of fits perfectly in. And then for some reason, like, that's the moment where they connect with each other. And she like, you know, she grabs his hand, and you know, they kind of embrace each other and they hold each other, and you know, and at first when I was watching that, I'm like, man, this is the strangest thing I've ever seen in a film. But then it kind of hit me. I was like, well, I think that's only because it's strange to me. It's not because it's clearly not strange to them. To them, that's right. You know, that's what they needed, I guess. And you see that a lot in this film with the other you know, kind of back and forth that other characters are having is what they're doing is very weird. There's one that's even like kind of borderline. There's a couple things that are like borderline illegal even. And but it's like, well, it's right for them, and it's weird to me, but it's right for them. Right on, you know, whatever. And this film is also very episodic too. Like there's a lot of things that happen that seem to not really relate to the plot. Again, I mean, I mentioned that when I was talking about Spike Lee. But there's still just a certain tone that makes those scenes fit. There's just a certain magic to all these scenes, and a certain just kind of sweetness to all these scenes. Like there's just this part where a guy and his two sons go for a walk, and the guy's like trying to like reach his kids. He's like, "You guys have questions for me? You know, I'm your dad. You can ask me anything." And then suddenly the kids just go, sing us a song. He's like, "What song?" And they bring up this hymn that they learned in school, and then the kids just start singing this hymn, and that's the whole scene. It's like, what was that? But there was just something about it that was just so sweet to watch. In fact, the very ending, the ending of the film, I have no idea what the ending is supposed to signify, but I just thought it was brilliant. There's a part where there's this guy, you know, he's waiting at a bus stop and he has a coin in his hand, and he's just dinging it on a sign, just ding, ding, ding. And this little boy approaches him and he goes, "Why are you doing that, sir? Like, what is this about?" And then the guy just goes, "I'm just trying to pass the time," you know, and he hands the coin to the little kid. He gets on a bus, the bus leaves, and then the kid walks up to the sign and goes, ding, ding, and he turns and looks at the sun, and every time he dings it, the sun is like, ding, 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 and then even when he stops dinging it, the sun stays still. Then it cuts to black, and that's the end of the movie. It's like, what was that? But that was brilliant. This whole movie is just brilliant, you know. Miranda July, you know, like I said, she wrote, directed, and starred. She's a very unique mind. This is only one of 2 feature films that she's directed, and it was her first feature film that she's directed. And just how competent and how masterfully made this movie is, and just the control she has over this this tone is just amazing. And I think a lot of it, I think a lot of people will inevitably kind of compare her to like Wes Anderson type, and I can see why. You know, they're I won't say they're similar, but you know, Wes Anderson has his own unique style, and she has hers, and they're somewhat similar, I guess. But this was her first film, and I've seen Wes Anderson's first film, and his first film wasn't nearly as good as this one. I'm not trying to say she's better than Wes Anderson. I love Wes Anderson, but just to see, you know, but Wes Anderson had to grow to become Wes Anderson. She just starts, and she's Miranda July. And this film was made in 2005, I believe. And since then, she's only directed one other feature film. I think she's done like some shorts, like some short films. But I haven't seen those, so I can't comment on those. But she made another feature film called The Future, which if you've seen my show, I've had the poster up for that film up before. And The Future, I think, is even better than this movie. The Future, when I saw it, it was one of those where I was like, I'm positive I just saw one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. So Miranda July, I mean, she's just the kind of filmmaker who excites me. You know, she excites me to see movies. She excites me to make movies. She's really great. And this was her first film. I say, watch this. This is a film you don't want to miss out on. And if you can get a hold of The Future, which was on Netflix and streaming, but it's not anymore, sadly. If you can get a hold of both of those movies, see them both, you will not be disappointed. Yeah, Miranda July is awesome. So that does it for this episode. I guess this is the first episode I've done that hasn't had like a theme to go by, so it was kind of freeing actually, just to kind of pick whatever movie I wanted and have no reason for it, no thought process. Just say, hey, I like this movie, people should watch it. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was able to pick out some movies for you that you haven't seen, or maybe you've been curious to see and need that extra kick to see or something. And if you do watch these movies, let me know what you think of them. Tell me if you hated them or loved them. Tell me if you hate me or love me, whichever. I always appreciate the feedback. Real quick, I did want to give a quick shout out to one of my most loyal fans, Donald Dietz. He's an old friend of mine. We go way, way, way back. He's been, lately he's just been commenting on a lot of my videos. He's been keeping a lot of the discussion going. So, Donald, thank you for that. That's part of what fuels me. It's part of what drives me. So, so before I finally get off, Donald, I just want to say, don't you wish that your girlfriend was hot like me? Sorry, that was an inside joke between me and the Deets. So anyway, goodbye everybody. I'll see you guys in another video.